Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel, or welcome to our channel if you're new here. In today's video, we'll be showing you how to make this delicious cheesy spinach sunflower bread. So basically this is a spinach and cheese bread that is shaped like in terms of a sunflower. So when you pull out the petals, you'll have a bunch of cheese and spinach in the middle, and even in the center of the sunflower bread we have it packed with the same contents. It's really delicious, and it's also eggless and vegetarian, so this is really great if you're fasting or if you're giving this to someone who is a vegetarian. So if you'd like to see how to make this, then please keep on watching. Alright, so as per usual, we're starting off with our ingredients. First is 1 teaspoon of saffron powder, 1 tablespoon of butter, 3/4 of a tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. You're also going to need 1 pack of instant yeast, 1 cup of warm milk, 2 cups of flour, and the following ingredients are pretty much optional, but they do enhance the flavor. So we're using some lemon pepper, oregano, and pepper flakes, and you can use as much or as little as you like, or you can sub these out for whatever you'd like to use. You're also going to need some cream cheese and some regular cheese. Now we have this chive flavored cream cheese that we're using. You can use any kind that you'd like, and we're using a mix of cheddar and mozzarella cheese. And again, the measurements would be as much as you'd like or as little as you'd like, but the cream cheese will activate the shredded cheese very well. You're also going to need spinach, of course. And now we're going to start building our dough. So we've done this in a lot of our videos, but we're going to show you once again. So you're going to need to add that 1 pack of yeast into the flour, and then we're adding a tablespoon of brown sugar to activate that yeast. You're then adding half of the 3/4 of a tablespoon of salt, and then you're going to add the 1 teaspoon of saffron powder. And then we're just going to mix this all together before we start adding in our other ingredients. So once that's all mixed together, you're going to take some of that butter. You're not going to take all of it, probably just like half of it, and add that into the flour. And you're going to save the other half for later. We're going to use it later on in the dough as well. And then we're just mixing all of that together. Now that that's mixed in, you're going to add in some of that warm milk. And we're not going to add all at once. Just like with our other dough recipes, you want to add a little at a time and build that dough together. So you see here, we're just gradually adding in the milk. Okay, so now we're going to add in a little bit of water, and you can still use a little bit more milk here. It depends on how much flour you're working with, but we decided to add a little bit more just to build that dough together. You're then going to knead it for about 2 to 3 minutes, and you'll start to see it form and get nice and fluffy. Okay, so now it's time to add in that butter from earlier, the remaining bit of butter. And you'll see now that this is just going to bring everything together and also clean out the bowl. So as we always say, you have to clean your bowl. That's how you know your dough is ready. So we're just kneading that through, and when you're kneading it, you'll kind of feel when it is completely covered, and you'll see that it's all cleaning the bowl. So now we're just going to cover this for a towel and let it sit for an hour. Alright, so after an hour, this is what your dough should look like. As you can see, it has risen quite a bit, and it looks nice and fluffy. But we're going to set this aside and work with our filling. So we're going to first start off by moving our spinach into a larger bowl. And then we're going to add in some oregano. Again, you can use this at your discretion, how much you'd like or how little you'd like. We're going to add in that remaining salt. You're going to add in the cream cheese. And of course, you can add a lot more than we did here, but we were adding a lot of cheese in the first place, so we didn't want to add a lot more. And then you're just gonna mix all this together. Now, like I was talking about earlier, the cream cheese and the cheese mixture, when you start to pull things apart, it's gonna get a nice ooey gooey cheese. So it really works well to have those two together. Alright, so once it's all mixed up, we're gonna set that aside and bring our dough back in. So you can see that it's nice and soft, and we're just getting a clean surface ready with some flour, and we're just going to start kneading this and getting rid of all of the air bubbles. So you can see here we're just pressing it through, and we just want to get rid of any sort of air bubbles. When you feel it, you'll feel how fluffy and nice it is, but we also want to get it a little bit more flat so we can work with it. Okay, so once all the air bubbles are released, you're going to section this off into 2 halves, and we're going to work with the first one. We're just molding that and getting rid of any excess air bubbles. You want to make sure that all air bubbles are gone with this, and we're going to set that guy aside. So then we're going to work with one here, and we're just getting it ready to roll it out because we want it to be ready so that when we flatten it straight out, it's not going to go completely thin. It's going to have a nice consistency to it. Okay, so once you've refloured this, it's ready to go. So we want to make it around that size of the pan. So after that, we're just flattening it out a little, and then we're gonna take our rolling pin and just roll this straight out. It doesn't have to be perfect in terms of size, but it needs to at least fit inside of the pan and cover it completely. And from there, we will work with that, and we're going to repeat the same thing with the other one. So right now, this is what it should look like. As long as it can fit into the pan, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit bigger on one side or the other. Okay, so we rolled the other one off camera. As you can see, you have 2 layers here, and that's the idea that we're working with. So we're going to put one aside, and from there, we're going to start filling it up. Alright, so now we have our spinach here. And our mixture, we're going to start adding that straight on top. Now, this is basically the same as making a pie filling in a sense, because you have this one layer and then you have a layer of your filling, and then you're going to have to cover the other one. So we're just laying that down. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're also adding in some of that cheese as well. We had some extra, and we're just adding that. And then after that, you're putting your other layer on top, and then that's gonna keep it covered, and that's gonna help us mold our sunflower bread. Now you want to make sure that everything lines up to each end, and I know what you must be thinking, that it's gonna all fall out in the oven if we leave it like this, but that is why we are going to seal off the ends. So you can see here we're kind of pulling and using a twisting motion, kind of like a regular pie. And this is just going to keep all of our filling in place, especially when we start making cuts and shaping it into that sunflower shape. Alright, so once your ends are tightly fastened and you're all set to go, we're now going to move on to creating that sunflower shape. Now you're going to start making slits on all corners here. But you're not going to make the slits too far into the middle. This is due to the fact that we have that center piece that we want to keep open and not cut up. So you can see here we're stopping a little bit, so we know that that is going to be the size of our center. And we're just making those cuts. Now these cuts don't have to be perfect in terms of length apart, but they have to be big enough that you can work with making smaller slits. So now we're making smaller ones, but they're going to make this section off on each side, and you want to make sure that you're not cutting all the way to the edge, because once again it's just going to come straight apart when you're ready to move it around. So we're cutting those slits down, and you're going to keep repeating this until you get all the way around your dough. And I know it doesn't have to be perfect, but get it as close in terms of proportions as you can. So now that we have those slits there, you're going to start reinforcing the slits, but not cutting them too far in, and you're just going to twist them and then open them out. And that is your petal. Pretty cool, right? So we're going to keep repeating that, and what's going to happen is it's going to start looking like a flower because of how we twist each one of them. So we're just going to repeat that once again. We're taking our knife to reinforce those slits. And then you're going to lift it up very gently, of course, pull a little bit, and then you're going to twist it over. And once you twist it, you're going to open it out so that that spinach is visible. And then we're just going to repeat this until we completely have done the same thing all around. And once you've gotten all those opened out, you can see it looks exactly like a flower, and it looks very beautiful. You now have that centerpiece as well that hasn't been touched, so now you can get creative with this. We are adding our lemon pepper in the center because we thought it looked a lot like the center of a sunflower. But of course, you can use anything that you like. You can even score it with a knife to make it look like the flower instead of adding anything on top. But we decided to add that so it can add a little flavor to it. We're also adding that lemon pepper around it because, like earlier, we didn't really add too much flavoring in terms of the spinach, so we wanted to add that before we head into the oven. You're also going to add in the pepper flakes. Of course, again, this is optional, but we love anything spicy, so we wanted to make sure it had a little bit of a kick to it. So we're adding that all over each one of the petals as well, and you could see that the center really does start to look like the center of a flower because of those mixture of colors like the peppers and of course the lemon pepper as well. And then of course the main star, the cheese. So we're gonna add even more cheese on here. Again, optional, you can leave it as is and put it into the oven, but we wanted to make it really cheesy, so we're adding that onto each petal as well. Okay, and this is optional, but before we put it into the oven, we're adding a little bit of yellow food coloring because we wanted to enhance the brightness of the golden color it's going to come out when it comes out of the oven. So we're going to bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 35 minutes. Alright, and once you take it out of the oven, it should have this nice, beautiful golden brown color. Ours did get the cheese a little bit more darker than expected on the top, but it is super delicious either way. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and now we're just going to take a little sneak peek inside. And you can pull this out with a fork and knife like we're cutting it apart here. Or you can also just, once it's cooled down, just pull it apart with your fingers and eat it like we're doing here as well. And you can see that gooey cheese in the middle that comes out with it. Also a lot of steam because it is quite hot. And you have a nice slice for yourself or for someone else. And it's super delicious. You can see that all on the inside. It's still soft and moist in terms of the batter, but it's also nice and gooey because of all of that cream cheese and cheese filling. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to comment down below what you thought of this video and other videos on our channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos every week. We hope you guys have a fantastic week, and thanks for watching. Bye!